This is the second part of a two-part series where we take a look at the 32 World Cup nations and pick a previous player from their prime to bring back into the current national team for this World Cup. It's a bit of fun, and we laid out the concept more comprehensively in the introduction to the first part, so make sure you've watched that before watching this one. Here is part 2. Brazil, Pelé. I hate to be this boring, but Brazil's only obvious weak spot is at right back, and as great as he was, am I really going to select Djalma Santos over Ronaldo, Zico, or Pelé? The answer is no, I'm not. Gabriel Jesus is expected to occupy the central striking spot for Brazil, and although we're big fans of him, replacing him with peak Pelé or even peak Ronaldo would make Brazil the champions-elect. Costa Rica, Alejandro Moreira Soto. There are no real standout players in the Costa Rica squad, except for maybe the midfield flair of 32-year-old Brian Ruiz. We've opted to go with the country's greatest ever player then, and that is almost certainly Alejandro Moreira Soto. An often forgotten legend of the game here in Europe, Moreira Soto scored at a remarkable rate in both Costa Rica and in Spain with Barcelona. A short but sharp shooting centre forward, Costa Rica could do with his ability to score a goal a game in Russia. Switzerland, Andre Abiglan. Switzerland have been a decent, well-rounded side for a while now, but they always seem to be a bit toothless up front. Haris Seferovic will almost certainly retain that central striking role for the Swiss in Russia, and we're not convinced. An infinitely better option would be prime Andre Abiglan, who is probably Switzerland's greatest ever player. A hugely celebrated centre forward who was unerring in front of goal, Abiglan was prolific right up until his premature death at the age of 35. Serbia, Dragan Djaric. There's no doubt that Nemanja Vidic would be a huge upgrade on young Nikola Milenkovic or Milos Milutinovic, a sizable improvement on any of Serbia's front three, but it'd be madness to go for anyone other than Dragan Djaric. Considered by us to be the fourth best left winger in the history of the game, Djaric could score and create goals with tedious regularity. He'd transform a solid Serbian outfit into a frightening attacking force. Germany, Franz Beckenbauer. As always with Germany, it's a tale of two players, Franz Beckenbauer and Gerd Müller. I've gone for Beckenbauer, who'd probably come in for Sami Khedira alongside Toni Kroos to form a mouth-watering duo of deep-lying playmakers. However, it could just as easily be Müller for Werner, which would be just as much of an improvement. We wouldn't argue for long if you said we should go for the centre-forward instead. Mexico, Hugo Sanchez. Obviously, it can only be Hugo Sanchez, by far Mexico's best ever player, and arguably their second best is 39, and he's still in the team. South Korea, Chobumkan. Hong Myung-bo, Park Ji-sung, and Chobumkan would be the leading candidates for South Korea, and the correct answer would be Chobumkan. The nation's best ever player, he is a Bundesliga and South Korean legend, and still holds the record as his country's all-time leading scorer. He'd make a pretty frightening strike partnership for South Korea's Group F rivals alongside Son Heung-min. Sweden, Gunnar Nordahl. From Grenno Lee to Kurt Hamrin and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Sweden has produced some special footballers over the years. None finer than Gunnar Nordahl though, who scored 43 goals in 33 games for his country and 210 goals in 257 games for AC Milan. You could put him in for either of Sweden's current front two and he'd frighten the life out of defences. Belgium, Eric Herets. The current Belgium team is the strongest in the nation's history, and most of their all-time greats are either goalkeepers, strikers, or attacking midfielders, where they already have a wealth of talent at their disposal. Our suggestion then would be Eric Herets. The Red Devils will most likely play a back three with wing-backs in Russia, and playing right wing-back will probably be Thomas Meunier. The PSG man is a capable footballer, but Herets would certainly be a major upgrade. A tireless runner who is equally capable when bombing forward or sitting in deep, he'd make a perfect wing-back for Roberto Martinez's side. England, Bobby Moore. Like Belgium, England will also go with a back three in Russia, and whilst they have looked defensively sound in the build-up to the tournament, there are one or two question marks surrounding their inexperienced centre-backs. For that reason, we decided to go for a world-class centre-back, where it's a choice between Neil Franklin or Bobby Moore, and we went with the latter due to his leadership skills and World Cup experience. It could just as easily have been Bobby Charlton or Gordon Banks, but we think Moore would add the most to England's all-round game. Tunisia, Tarak Diab. The obvious choice for Tunisia, Tarek Diab is the finest player the country has ever produced, and he starred in 1978 when Tunisia became the first African nation to win a match at the World Cup finals. An excellent dribbler and passer of the ball who won more than a century of caps for the North Africans, Diab was an attacking midfielder, and he became the attacking linchpin in this current Tunisia side. Panama, Julio Deli Valdez. The fact that this summer is Panama's first appearance at a World Cup finals gives you an indication that there isn't a long list of brilliant former Panamanian footballers knocking about, but there is one fortunately enough. Former PSG and Malaga striker Julio Deli Valdez was a big leggy centre forward who knew how to find the back of the net. He'd waltz into this current Panama side in place of Gabriel Torres, and he'd just give them a real threat on the counter-attack. Colombia, Carlos Valderrama. Initially, I thought I'd leave out Carlos Valderrama since he was primarily an attacking midfielder and Colombia have their superstar James Rodriguez playing there now, so Wellington Ortiz looked like the favourite in central midfield. In the end though, I've copped out and gone for Valderrama anyway, who could play a little deeper in central midfield, coming in for either Carlos Sanchez or Abel Aguirre, and bringing his truly exceptional passing abilities to this Colombian side from the middle of the park. Japan, HITC Nakata. There are areas where Japan look much weaker than central and attacking midfield, but by far their two best ever players played there, so in the end we had to go with one of them. HITC Nakata gets the nod from us since we think he offers more in terms of an all-round game. A fantastic passer of the ball who was hard-working and neat in possession, Nakata was at his best in the late 90s, but later turned out for Roma, Parma and Fiorentina. Poland, Zbigniew Boniek. In terms of Poland's attacking options in Russia, their weak spot is likely to be on the left flank, where it'll probably be Hull City winger Kamil Grosicki. Grosicki, or Turbo as the Polish like to call him, does actually tend to turn on the style for his country, but he's no Zbigniew Boniek, who was undoubtedly Poland's greatest ever player up until Robert Lewandowski came along to give him a proper rival for that title. Searing pace, wondrous technique, and superhuman stamina are the attributes which characterise Boniek's game, and he'd make them big favourites in Group G. Senegal, Demba Ba. I wish we could have selected a Senegalese-born player who represented France like Patrice Evra or Patrick Vieira here, but that wouldn't be right, so we've gone for Demba Ba. There's quite good balance to the current Senegal side, but at centre forward, where they've often had great strength, they no longer look quite so threatening. Demba Ba, of say his 2012 vintage, would give a whole new dimension to Senegal's attacking play, even though the 33-year-old never actually had a great record for his country. So that's it for the top 7. Thanks for watching, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe to HITC Sevens.